as we've described in our spiritual mind treatment, do you see, then there's that place of, well, wow, I'm so grateful to sense it, feel it, know that my conviction of the spiritual truth is so grounded that I can see it in my mind's eye, even though it's not there yet. Even though I can't yet see it with my physical eye, I can see it in my mind's eye. And when my mind's eye can see it, that is the eye of the divine. That's the divine seeing it.
I'm so glad you joined us today. That makes you a part of CSL Dallas, and we love that our community continues to grow. And we also love to give great spiritual content. And a way that you can participate in our community is financially give to it. It's easy to do so. Go to CSLDallas.org and hit the give button. Or you can set up a text giving mechanism at 972-954-4404, a safe and secure way to send us money whenever you watch a great message like this. So thanks for giving, and buckle up, because here comes the spiritual content.
And so we are so grateful. So grateful. We are getting our gratitude on today.
Yes.
My God. Holy moly. And as we are finishing up not only our adventures in spirit, we're also finishing up our conversation about spiritual mind treatment. And of course, it was really appropriate to really work with our spiritual mind treatment during our Adventures in Spirit program. Sometimes, of course, we spend all of September on prosperity principles, but we actually need to know how to anchor them in our lives. And so to do that, we use our form of affirmative prayer. We use spiritual mind treatment. And as you know, we've been going through spiritual mind treatment, and we've been talking about the steps. So we've talked about recognition, we've talked about unification, we've talked about realization, and today we are going to talk about thanksgiving and release, gratitude.
Yes, and the importance of being grateful before. This is the interesting thing. We are so grateful before the demonstration is made. So, are y'all grateful? Can you feel the gratitude before the demonstration is completed or demonstrated? So we're getting a real life thing. I mean, this whole community that's been anywhere near here, either present or online. I know some people have traveled, some people have just gotten back, some people are still traveling, all that, but we've been holding this in the demonstration before it even appears. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So today, as we go into, I'm behind on my slides here. Thanksgiving, gratitude for your conviction in the creative process, right? That's why 10 or 12 people have been praying every week through this program. Karen said this way back in September, and we say it over and over and over again. When we use prosperity and abundance, it's such a powerful opportunity for us to really see and feel what it's like to live an answered prayer. To actually say, I am grateful that I know this process and that I can use it. And so what we've said here, we've said that we are grateful that we've been able to apply our principles to manifest this incredible result, and that we're grateful for what it is that CSL Dallas is doing, for its mission, its purpose. Yeah. When I first started working with this idea of mission and vision and purpose, it was really it was a little challenging because I wondered, what is big enough? What's a big enough vision? Right? We live in an ocean of life. What's a big enough vision? What's a big enough vision for CSL Dallas? What's the vision that you hold for CSL Dallas? What does that look like to you? Well, for me, one of the things it looks like is not only to have amazing people watching us online all week, but it's to have every chair in the sanctuary full. So can you imagine that? Can you imagine being a little squeezed, a little tight, maybe not able to always find a seat in the place, like in your chair?
How many has a chair? Come on, admit it. Yes, look at that.
Right? There might actually be someone in your chair. The greeters will have to start seating people. Right? Why? Not so we can pat ourselves on the back and say, oh, look at how cool we are, our sanctuary's full. But if you would look at the chair next to you that's empty, or the chair in front of you or behind you where there's a vacant chair, that chair is waiting for someone just like you who is looking for what you found here. When those chairs are full, that means that we have spread the message and we have touched people so that they too are getting to experience what we have here together. So I want you to hold that vision, that the vacant chairs that you see, that chair is calling someone's name who is looking for us, who may not even know that we're who they're looking for. Now, we know that we're not necessarily the answer to everybody's spiritual life. We know that we might not even be the best way, but for each person in this room, we know this is the way that works for us. And there is someone for each one of these chairs.
Yeah, and part of holding that vision of who and what CSLDallas is also to imagine and to know and to claim that every single one of our adult classrooms are full every night of the week. And so we have 5 adult classrooms. We actually could do more of an overflow, but we have 5 dedicated adult classrooms, and imagine them being full Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Oh my gosh, there's something even happening on Saturday. Classes on Saturday night. Because as we've said many times, the classes that we teach is the way. It is the way, the most surefire way. It's not the only way, but it's the most surefire way when we take classes to truly understanding these spiritual principles at a deeper level, and to practice and to know how to practice and to put them into practical use in our own lives. And we know that that's a ripple effect, just like a big rock going into this lake, right? Bam, that goes out. And not only that, but they are also full when we're not teaching, because CSLDallas is the priority for the space, but when we're not teaching, that there are renters and other classes going on that fall right into that similar slipstream, like they're in our lane too, but they're doing it a little differently, offering something, and they're full as well. And that people have this space. We even have a couple of businesses that decided not to go down the road to a hotel and rent a space, and they're bringing that loving, energetic here too. So we want all of our adult classrooms to be full. We also, and we want to go beyond the adults. So we hold the vision that our Joy Village, our journey of youth, that's what Joy stands for, is so filled and overflowing their classrooms as well on Sundays, on Wednesday nights, and they too want to expand into more evenings so the parents can come and take their classes and be transformed, and the kids can join in them and understand these spiritual principles. Imagine what our life would be like at 5.
So you just said the word. Yep. So see how easy it is to slip into something we want? Gratitude means we imagine already having it.
Oh, there we go.
Gratitude means imagining we've already had it. So these are not things we want. These are things that are already so in consciousness. Because we know our teaching is that powerful. We know that lives are changed and transformed when when people are able to learn and grow in this teaching. And so keep imagining, like really imagining that people are coming here to meditate before classes, at midday. The meditation chapel is open during the week for people to find their space, their quiet. Can you imagine what Addison will be like when people are moving in and out of the meditation chapel during their workday and taking that back to their work? Can you imagine the gift CSLDallas is being, not only to those people, but to the companies and stores and restaurants that those people go back to, that you go back to as we embody not just the possibility of this, right? This is what living in answered prayer looks like. We imagine it and we accept it as if it were already so.
Yeah, and imagine that there are young adults, lots and lots of young adults that are coming here twice a month, that they're here and they are engaging with one another, they're talking with one another, they're getting connected with one another, and this experiential known as the open door. 2 Friday nights a month, they're here. And imagine that because they've recently moved into the Barong Lounge, so we didn't move the furniture so much. Imagine that the Barong Lounge is too small of a space. And we are grateful that people in their early 20s to early 30s are putting these spiritual principles into practice in their lives. And in the same vein, there are people who either it's their first language, their second language, or they choose to want to expand on speaking the language of Spanish, that with Canal de Luz, that twice a month on a Friday night, that they are speaking the spiritual principles known as the science of mind in Spanish. And they're grappling with it in Spanish, and they're learning about it in Spanish. And we're reaching people that they've just not been touched before. And so imagine that expansion is here.
And so as we move into this step of treatment of gratitude, right, we've spent our time in our realization step. This is what we've been doing. We've been describing to ourselves the outcome that we desire, which is spirit moving and expressing as the gift that we are to the world. CSLDallas is a gift to the world. It is a gift to each one of us. You are a gift to every person who is sitting around you, whether you know them or not. And as we've described in our spiritual mind treatment, do you see, then there's that place of, well, wow, I'm so grateful to sense it, feel it, know that my conviction of the spiritual truth is so grounded that I can see it in my mind's eye, even though it's not there yet. Even though I can't yet see it with my physical eye, I can see it in my mind's eye. And when my mind's eye can see it, that is the eye of the divine. That's the divine seeing it. Okay. Don't miss the spot of incubating non-for-profits with our resources and expertise. So this is a huge passion of mine. And you're going to hear about it, what we experienced with the ministers. And so imagine that we're a place where people are so deeply learning spiritual principles and truths and ways of putting them into practice in the world that they're not only starting businesses, but they're also starting not-for-profits that are doing amazing work in the world. Thank you, Armando Cantu, for being
a mental equivalent.
A mental equivalent for that, right? And I can imagine that that's happening, that we're really creating space for people, whether it's a profit or a not-for-profit, a thing that they're really gifting their gift to the world. And CSLDallas is supporting, contributing in expertise and in bringing our spiritual tools to bear.
Yeah, so we're holding this vision of CSLDallas, and it's so vast, it's so big. The practitioner corps, along with Petra and myself, we were so blessed for the past few days to be at Lake
Texoma.
Lake Texoma. It was my first time there. That's Lake Texoma, by the way. It was so beautiful. And we were facilitated in a practitioner retreat with Dr. David Alt. Just the sweetest experience, the most profound experience, the most transformative experience for all of us, individually and collectively. And one of the things is he shared with us is this vision, to hold a vision that is so vast in scope, so big, let's say, but so vast in scope that it will take the rest of our lives to bring it to fruition. So to hold this vision of CSLDallas, that it'll take the rest of our lives in this community to bring it about. You know, and when I was in ministerial school, I was told that if your ministry, the vision for your ministry doesn't scare the bejesus out of you, it's not big enough. And if we think about the vision of our lives or any aspect of our lives, if it's sort of like, that's just a little, you know, it's like, huh?
And if we can figure out how to do it,
right,
it's not big enough.
Right? Like if you already know all the steps right now to that, it's not
big enough.
Big enough. Because, you know, I remember when I first got here 5 years ago, actually while we were discussing, and I said, well, what is your vision for this community, Petra? It was during an ice storm, sitting around a fire. And she one of the pieces, you know, I was just listening. I kept listening. And then she said, well, you know, this whole complex that you've now been in, she said, it's a university. And it has, yes, and it's a space for, you know, yoga studios and this
metaphysical
and that. But
hub in Dallas.
We have this whole complex. And I was like, okay, that vision's vast, and you know, so it could take the rest of our lifetimes to see that, right? To have a school, all of that. So
to be grateful for every moment of the step, right? Yes. Today we took a step, right? We took a step, and we can breathe that step in and be so grateful, because up until this moment, we were visioning for this step. We were holding for this step. And every step, we get to be moving into that unknown space and be grateful that we're already there.
Yes. And one of the things we really talk about, because so many of you share that you experience this, and it's in our purpose statement, is transforming lives. Mm-hmm. And another thing that Dr. David Alt shared with us, and we both really walked away from, is this idea that change your thinking, change your life, you know, change. The difference between change and transformation. Mm-hmm. So when we change something in our lives, or change has occurred, sometimes we don't like change, do we? Or is that just me? Okay, just checking, us too. Okay, so when we change something, yes, that changed, and yet in change, we can go back to where we were. We can go back to the patterns of our life. We might have changed the moment. We might have manifested the next paycheck or whatever, but we can go back to where we were before. In transformation, you can't go back. You're so transformed in
You're
this.
so different.
You're so, you can't. So think of that transformation that we love to talk about, the caterpillar going into the cocoon and the goo, and and then butterfly. The butterfly cannot go back to caterpillar. It's impossible. So we're about transforming our lives together so that we can't go back.
So Sandra Meadows wrote on Facebook, "I'm filled with love and gratitude for each of you that sent me support and love around getting a great job. I was offered the job and am taking it as of today. It will change my life in amazingly positive ways. I've been hired as a contract case manager consultant. I'll be working again with those with mental illness to keep them from having to be hospitalized when they are challenged. This is a demographic of clients that are dear to my heart, so I'm overjoyed to be doing what I love again." And as if that weren't enough, to show how powerful prayer is, I received 2 other job offers yesterday, and today received a check from the IRS. Icing on the cake. I'm amazingly blessed, and God is love, and so are each of you.
Yes, isn't that great?
Holding the vision for a job, having other people stand in that, being grateful that it's there, and there it is.
Yeah, Delisa Turner, who is one of the co-leads of our culinary team. She's recently had a hip replacement, so she let us know ahead of time. She was all prayed up during it. She has people touching in with her while she's recovering, but she said that CSLDallas has given me the wisdom and knowledge through the classes and celebration services on how to live my life fully in the moment now. I experience love and joy from the people I interact with and the service I do at CSLDallas. The practitioners and ministers are always there to listen and help me through understanding these situations of difficulty in my life. She says also to listen when I'm full of the abundance of gratitude. I love that. Isn't that great?
And so once again, imagine that these people, somebody just like this person that we've been reading about, is sitting in that chair next to you. What a gift you are to them.
Yes, and it doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop there within the construct of the people that we get to engage with and share with here in this community. As most of you know, we recently hosted the CSL Ministers Gathering here, an entire week where 125 ministers or so came here for a week. And we got a lot of emails after they went home. And one is from Dr. Maxine Kay. She has been in this philosophy
40 years. She's been
40
a minister.
years.
40 years.
And she said, Dr. Petra and Reverend Karen, their dedicated staff, and the Ministers' Council created a powerful and loving container for deep connection to Spirit and one another, gave so generously of their gorgeous space, their vast and effective experience, their love and devotion to principle, and to our beloved organization, and to all of us. Thank you both for your brilliance, your openness and vulnerability, and your many, many resources. We have resources, thanks to all of us, that we can give away. So our resources for growth and development personally and within our community. Here's the thing. CSLDallas has become a beautiful...
She's right. Maxine Kay is writing this. Karen
Yes,
isn't
I'm
making this
still-
up. Okay, go ahead. She's still reading. Go ahead. Just wanted to be
Thank
sure.
you for
Just wanted
clarifying.
to be sure.
CSLDallas has become a beautiful mental equivalent for many of us ministers as we develop, shape, and co-create our own physical centers. Yes, a mental equivalent. The overwhelming, captivating field of love. That's who you are. That was offered to us was a dynamic, palpable reminder of the infinite possibilities that exist for all of us. Thank you, CSLDallas, for reminding us that we are all relevant. Yes. Because right before this gathering, there's been this conversation on the ministers' listserv because, other church communities or CSL communities or whatever the case may be have sort of been declining in certain areas and aspects. And there's been this huge discussion, like, are we still relevant? Well, these ministers came here because of the field of love here and what we represent, and took home a mental equivalent. They went home so fired up, like, we are relevant. Heck yes, we're relevant. So that's awesome that that's who we are beyond this community as well.
And as you may remember, Karen and I had the opportunity to do a leadership day in Switzerland with the leaders of the CSLs in Europe and in Africa. And Reverend Beth Liguri, who's she's been in the Switzerland community and was organizing this retreat and invited us to come a couple days early to do this work. She wrote this: I want to simply take a brief moment to thank you once again for your gift and service as you shared with us in Switzerland this summer. I'm getting rave reviews from the participants in the leadership day, from just what I needed to surpassed all expectations, and really got me back on track in my leadership activities. So please thank Karen as well for her part in that day. As for the main part of the retreat, which I contributed to, as I told you on that day, your presentations were fantastic and amazing and fired up more interest here in the teaching, for which I am grateful. Thank you. So do you see, we hold a vision that we're serving in so many, many ways that we don't even know. We don't even know how we're serving and whose lives we're touching. CSLDallas is not just serving and feeding us here, although that's a huge part of what we do. You are supporting ministries around the country and around the world.
Yes.
By what you're doing, by the gift you give, but more importantly, by the fact that you are seeking to practice the teachings. That is such a monumental gift for which I am so grateful for us to be in ministry with you. If you may not know, Tracy spoke last week, and if you may not know, Karen and I were on opposite ends of the coast doing this work because of CSLDallas. So I was in Lexington for the weekend, supporting the core council of the beautiful Ahava Center for Spiritual Living in Lexington, Kentucky. They're 9 years old. They have about 75 to 100 people there attending. They thought they were in crisis. And I said, oh no, these are all high-class problems. You're growing. And because of what I have the vision of and have experienced here at CSLDallas, there was so much I was able to offer them about, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid, you're right on the cusp. There are people in Lexington who need you, who are looking for you. And because of you and what I've learned here, I have that to offer and to share with them.
Yeah, and I got the opportunity to go back to Oakland in the Bay Area for the first time in 5 years. So thank you, because I got to have my baked Sale Betty sandwich and other good things. And, but I went there for the sole reason I thought of helping one community. There was this brainstorm with one of my fellow minister council ministers, Reverend Andriette Earl, and I said, well, I'm going to be doing this prosperity workshop in Santa Rosa on Sunday. Why don't I just do it for your community on Friday night? And so instead of just hanging with her, there were over 50 people in an Oakland community that I could, share that wisdom and what I've done in my own life over the course of, 10 plus years. And they were just like sponges, and they ate it up, because they are ending their 9th year, and they're going into a new season as well in the 10th year. And they are feeling right now some pains of financial stuff as they want to continue to grow and expand. And so 50 people got to walk out for the sake of their own life and for the life of that community collectively. Andriette asked me to come back next year and do something with her in conjunction. And then I went on to Santa Rosa, which is a very big campus, bigger than ours. And that's where I went to ministerial school. So that was the campus that birthed me. And first of all, I've never done 3 services back to back to back. So, and that was awesome to be able to share a message and then do a workshop for the people there in the afternoon. And so when you, because of what happens here, and then you sort of tie this out, then we continue to ripple. We continue to ripple for other communities. Established communities, new communities, smaller communities than us, larger communities than us, and now we're doing Zoom calls so we don't even have to go anywhere with ministers. I did one this week. Petra's going to do one next week to bring the experience of this community so this mental equivalent can continue to be replicated and duplicated in have more thriving communities in this faith.
Yeah. Very cool.
And of course, we tithe Tracy Brown. She goes into other communities and she speaks and she gives her wisdom. And then you may not know this, but one of our staff members, Bibi Gafour, our operations manager, she's recently been asked to speak at the Unitarian Church here in Dallas. And she talked about science of mind principles in there. And she's been asked to come back. So we just keep spreading.
It's not just Karen and I.
Right?
Right? Right?
Yeah.
So we keep being grateful for the vision that keeps pulling us, even though it's so much larger than and richer and expanding in so many different areas that we're just beginning. Like we're just going to begin our ministerial training again in the fall of 2019. All of these things are opportunities for us to be grateful for a vision as it pulls us toward it, right? And in the midst of all of this expansion, the other vision that Karen and I hold for all of us is that I don't know about you, but sometimes I feel overly busy and fractured because of the digital culture that we live in today, right? And it's sort of that pseudo connection. I wave or I like on Facebook. Oh, look, they're doing that. Oh, look, they're doing that. But, it's not really a relationship, is it? It's nice to see and it's nice to celebrate. But the other piece of the vision is to continually confront that sense of isolation and fracturedness and really keep building more and more and more and more ways in which we are deeply connected in intimate settings and face-to-face in really powerful ways. And we're being grateful that that's happening, even though we're not exactly sure what the next steps of that are going to be, right? And that's what it means to live in gratitude, to live in answered prayer, because we may not know exactly how that's going to unfold, but there is a power and a presence that does know. There is an infinite wisdom and intelligence that does know. And when we speak our word into being, into creation, right, we trust that process. We trust that it does, in fact, manifest.
So we keep holding the vision. We invite you to keep holding the vision that we continue to prove our purpose. So our purpose, which, by the way, we're no longer going to be the only community with this purpose after the ministers' gathering. A lot of them are stealing our purpose. In fact, in Santa Rosa, when Reverend Tara introduced me, she said, I just have to, before I tell you about Reverend Karen, I got to tell you, I love their purpose statement. So she was already planting the seed. You could just tell, and she read it out loud. So let's remind ourselves that we hold that, can we imagine that every walk of life in Dallas, Texas, pretty darn diverse community that has some history to it, that we're all under one roof, in one community, from all walks of life, from all economic backgrounds, from all different experiences, from all different faith traditions in our past, all kinds of orientations, sexual orientations, sexual identities, all that, as things are attempting to be collapsed, we are the place where we hold strong in the expansion of humanity. And it's all here in this community. So that's radically inclusive, right? And that we continue to stay ahead of whatever is happening in now the 21st century as spirituality. So CSLDallas, we are progressive in how we do this collectively together. And that, yes, we don't change lives, we transform them. So will you say this one more time with what we do? We are radically inclusive, spiritually progressive, transforming lives. So it is. And because we have already held so within our, within ourselves, and it's already here, then we can release. Are we to release? Is that in release? Yes. Okay, good. So then it's already here. We just get out of the way of it because it's already here. And so we get out of the way and we let that automatic action of this thing called the universal law do its thing. I still don't know how it does its thing, and I don't care. I don't need to know. I just get out of the way. And so we get out of the way of it and release it.
Yeah, and so we didn't actually know how 200 people were going to give $850,000 in pledges. That's the living in answered prayer and being grateful that it's already done. We don't know what our vision is going to look like or our purpose statement is going to look like in form. And as Karen said, once we have moved into that place of gratitude, the next thing is to get out of the way. Dr. John Waterhouse, he says it this way, the power of letting go. The truth is that we are one with all spirit, and thus hold within ourselves the full potential of the divine infinite. Yet at a conscious level, we have a limited perception of the workings of the universe. We know some things, but there is so much more that we do not know. So the process of release accomplishes two distinct outcomes. First, by releasing your spiritual mind treatment, you are getting out of the way and allowing the full potential of your realization to manifest into being. Your release frees your demonstration to manifest by any and all methods or means, even those of which you could not possibly be consciously aware. Wow, isn't that great to know? Once I've moved into gratitude and I've fully accepted that my demonstration is real in consciousness, then I let it go. And the universal power and presence does the work. Second, when you let go of your realization, you are creating a space in which your manifestation can and will fully materialize. The universe will not tolerate a void or a vacuum. Your letting go actually creates a tension between your realization and that which can be confirmed out here in the outer world. Letting go works like a magnet to bring into being that which you claim as your truth. So the sheer fact of so accepting within our consciousness the truth of the thing that we're doing our spiritual mind treatment about, and of course, when we've accepted it, there's really no other response but gratitude, like, oh my God, I'm so grateful that it's already so, even though I can't see it yet. Because I've so gotten that, I can release it into the action of the law, and that's where the miracle happens, because it unfolds in ways that we can't even possibly imagine. And
a miracle has happened.
A miracle has happened. A miracle has happened.
Y'all.
Tell us about the miracle.
The miracle has happened. Do you want to know the miracle?
Yes.
Magic pocket. I have within a magic pocket that has miraculous, one could consider miraculous results. Mm-hmm. You all held the consciousness that it's already here so much. Are you ready? We don't have a slide because it's such real time. So, sure. Go. $55,150. And more. Woo! Wow.
That's what it looks like when you treat and move your feet. You treat and move your feet, right? You hold a consciousness, you do the treatment work, you make your claim on the universe, and then you do what it takes, and you step out, and you have stepped out to make this possible. We cannot be more grateful, more grateful for you and for what we're doing together. As you can hear and see, I hope you can sense the great work that is happening, not only in your own lives, but that you're a part of. Yes. And it's truly miraculous.
Truly miraculous. You want to pray? Mm-hmm. Let's, and the release is sort of like, I call it, we've made the touchdown, now we get to spike the ball. Right?
Boom!
Like the arc, and then bam! And so it is. You start.
So simply going within and knowing that there is an infinite power and presence. There is one life, one love, one joy, one truth, one abundance, one infinite ocean, a sea of joy that we are sourced from. That each person here in this room, each person watching us online, each person that is within the sound of this voice already knows this truth. And I know it for each one of us, and I know it for all beings everywhere, all people across the planet. There's no spot where God is not. No place where we can get outside of the heart of God. And that each one of us are filled with that divine presence. And as we know this truth, we know that we move out into the law with our declaration, our claim, our realization that this life is meant to be good. It's meant to be rich and powerful, not just only in money, but in meaning and purpose and contribution. Yes. It's meant to be rich in art and nature, in beauty, in love, in connection, and in wholeness. This is the truth. This is the truth about life as a whole, and it is the truth about each one of us.
And so knowing that this is so, staking our claim and declaring it so, there's this overflowing gratitude that we have this abundant life, this prosperous life, this joy-filled life, this peaceful life, this life of connection and purpose. It's here, right now, for every single solitary person connected in any shape, form, or fashion to CSLDallas, a center for spiritual living. We are the beacon of light and the beacon of love, and so I'm so grateful to know that it's so here that we release it unto the universal law. We get out of the way. We let it do its thing. We smile and repose and know that this is so. Because it is, we share together. And the exclamation point of, and so it is.